Did you get my email? Okay. Yeah, that was on me. So
I had talked to her earlier in the day, and she was, I don't know, Jeff must have talked about it, but I just somehow
that's fine. So if anybody else sent me an email and I haven't responded, text me, let me know now. It seems like every December into January, all of the listservs update their list. I'm ending up with about 400 to 500 emails a day. And I hate to put spam filter on because I don't want one accidentally filtered out. But there's only so much time in the day to go through emails. So I'm missing some.
well, I didn't, that original email did not go.
Right.
So it's not like you did it.
But yeah, if anybody else sent me something and I haven't responded, it's in here somewhere. Let me know and I'll start searching.
Shouldn't I do get up and
Okay.
actually if I do. There we go.
Good, Brian. Okay. I'll call the finance committee meeting to order. Roll call, Brian.
Keller,
Present.
McCurry,
Present.
Cosgrove.
Present. Also in attendance, we got the mayor. We got the intern PA and Little, and 2 council members, Debbie and Garland. All right. Approval of the minutes of December. I know I read them.
I read them also.
See anything wrong with them?
No, I moved to approve the minutes.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
McCurry,
Yes.
Keller.
Yes. Motion carries. You guys want anything right now? Okay. Goal for 2023. Well, looking at the metrics and everything, I think you did a good job. So we stayed in the appropriation. So
what, I guess that's, what's the goals for 2023? Same as 2022 or?
I guess we're the same committee. So yes, that's, yeah, I think that's what's
I think so.
important,
Makes
keep within budget. So
Spending within appropriation.
if anybody else has anything later on, we can always add.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you do anything else you want added on there or?
I can't think of it right now, but
Number one.
so, which is, like I said, if something comes up next month or something else during the year, we can always add to it. But that's the number one thing. Stay within the appropriations. Old business, none. New business, review the monthly finance. Okay, Brian.
Okay. Well, I can't provide you with an actual reconciliation because I haven't finished closing the books. Once I hit, I mean, it's reconciled. I'm looking right at it right here. I got the green check mark. I can see there it is. As you can see right there. Because if I click post and print, then I'm still making some changes to closing POs. Once I do that, I won't be able, I don't have any way of doing that without deleting this and starting over.
Yeah.
So, but as you can see, we end up with a bank and book balance of 2 million, what is it? I can't see. the- Okay.
$367,304.
That's it, yes.
Yeah.
We had 2 deposits of transits, 96 there, credit cards for the water and sewer deposits, outstanding checks of 32,067.25. And then that's just the normal transfer between our accounts that it hits one account but not the other. But that's basically the reconciliation right there. So that's the reconciliation. equipment listing. December was a hard month. We wrote $469,175 worth of checks last month. Of course, two of the biggies, one biggie was 210,000 of that was debt payments.
So really only $200,000. If you want to look at it like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we're at 37,000. What was that for? I can't remember now. That's it.
There's one on there for the car.
No, that's not the corner project.
Like a water.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
the
OWDA, that's one of the bets.
storm.
Yeah,
project.
storm.
There is one check for $37,050 to BK Layer. That was for the storm project, Maple Street storm project. Everything else. In South Central, for the wastewater plant was 9,000. That's went down from the previous month. Good. Anything else in the check register there?
All looks standard.
Moving on to the finance report, the metrics. Interest last month at Star Ohio was $1,862 roughly. I think for this year, well, if I'm going to continue with this metrics, I'm going to eliminate a couple of years and start to get convoluted there.
Yeah, because, 2021, there was nothing there. It's just a flat, straight line and,
Yeah.
I can see 20, maybe 21.
Or you can try just deleting the points, the data point amounts.
Oh, you can do that?
So you delete the data point amounts and then the lines will stay there.
Okay. Retail last month was 75,000. Yes, no, $59,028. But for the year, we end up collecting $45,000 more previous than the previous year. So we were overall 4.7% higher than the previous year. Revenue status, of course. Everybody, for all the major line items. We're way above the curve. And the final for the appropriation status. 87% of general fund, 86.1% street fund, 84.6%. Now that's of course factoring in taking out the OPWC numbers to carry that's being carried over this year. So we're operating it up at 81.4 and storm was at 52%. What's that?
Carry it to next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, some of that is projects not done this year or planned lack of expenditures that need to happen on some of the projects.
I just reappropriated the OPWC. We didn't, for the Pullman Road project. Yes, that didn't happen. We just reappropriated this year. But there's still a lot of outstanding POs, some high dollar ones like the East Side study that's going to be open, as well as I tabulated the PO for the Monroe project already. I did that last year once it was approved. Those are two of the huge ones. And then, of course, the appropriations report. Everything we're within appropriations.
Now, was there any line that ended up at over 100 that you had to move around within your discretion to get it?
No.
No?
No.
So everything.
I mean, there was a couple lines within, like, within a certain area, like maybe, mayor administrative, I've had to shift a couple numbers, but other than that, I mean, overall, no. I didn't have to go from one department to another. Right? So that is,
Even the swimming pool operation.
Sound like that.
speaking of swimming pool, Robert never did get back with us. I'm kind of concerned with that.
He hasn't come back yet.
No.
I know he was out of town for a while, and I know she's about ready to have the next child. I'll make a note and I'll text him.
Texting because, I mean.
Because I need to follow up with him on his development down here to see if he's going to be ready for the February meeting or not.
I mean, I know we're only in January, but there's a lot of things that need to happen between now and May.
Yeah. Okay. I will make myself a note to tell him about those two things.
Yeah, it'd be nice to sit down on expectations.
Was he going to donate more or what?
No, we're still under a grant with,
Oh,
Yeah.
again.
and we got a second chunk of 20 grand last year, but I don't know if we're supposed to spend it between now and then.
Okay,
I don't know if we're gonna lose that 20 grand.
Yeah.
But we have another chunk of money, another 70,000 is coming in this year for the additional things we want to do at the pool, like the new
Splash
splash
pad.
pad and all that stuff.
yeah.
Purchasing of the umbrellas and tables and umbrellas, and
Yeah.
I think it's
work
table.
on the building
So
itself.
I know right after Terry left, he called me and wanted to make sure that didn't fall through the cracks. And I said, okay, let's stay in touch. And I think I've heard from him once since then too, but
I haven't heard.
like I said, I know he was out of town and I know Kendra's due to get any day now. So, but I got a note, I'll give him a text tomorrow and see if we can set something up to chat.
Yeah. So that's all I have for that part.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Okay, I need a motion to approve the financial report for December.
I'll make the motion, we approve the financial reports for December.
And I will second that.
Any discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Kell.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Okay, ordinance 2023/1, debt service charge. Oh, I like that.
Yes, I showed you last month, you have it in front of you now, where we're gonna pay off 4 loans. We had enough carryover to 4 loans, so I reevaluated what we're charging our customers for water and sewer. And as you can see there, amount needed, starting next year. Plus, we have our carryover right now. Plus, we're gonna, we have our carryover right now to help pay for the additional loans that we want to pay off. Going into next year, we're gonna need 200,000 for water and 495,000. We want to just collect just enough money to cover our debt, of course.
Yeah.
So based on the projections, we could lower the water debt portion of the utility bill $3 and the sewer debt by $4. And I had Jeff type up the ordinance and I started thinking about this. I'd like to do this in conjunction with the 3% water and sewer rate increase. If possible, they go in, the new rates go in effect January 1, but they won't be billed until next month to be collected in March. If we do this, then we can give the residents, yes, they're gonna see a 3% increase in their water and sewer, but they're gonna see the debt charges go down $7. So let's see, what that will do is, let me see if I can find it.
You'll end up in a net loss.
It'll be a net loss. The normal $84 bill will actually decrease I believe below $80.
$80.
Let me see if I can find that. Spreadsheet.
Is it possible to coordinate them both?
Yes, and if you pass it as an emergency,
If you do it as if it goes as an emergency tonight,
Tonight,
it can go into effect for the January rates. January rates don't get billed till February,
right,
collected in March.
perfect.
I hope they get another response from you.
Yeah.
So actually, the current minimum bill is $84
Right.
52 cents, I believe. Without the decrease in the debt charges, that bill will go up to $86.45. However, you're gonna knock $9 off, or $7.
Seven.
So $7 off. So it'll actually be $79.45.
Nice.
Very nice.
80,000 or $80 for 2,000 gallons, yeah. Minimum. Okay. Anybody have any question on that? Okay, do I hear, we need to make a motion. Okay.
Yeah, someone needs to.
Do you want to sponsor it, make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we send ordinance 2023-01 to council and sponsor that.
And I'll second it. Any discussion on the motion? To send ordinance 2023-01 to council? Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
McCrary,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes. Okay, that will be on tonight's reading. Okay, anybody else have anything for the finance committee? Doug, did you, I know you come in late. Do you have anything for the finance committee?
I do actually.
Okay, you got the floor. What's your name?
My name is Cindy Gray.
Cindy what?
Gray, Gray. One suggestion, and I've asked about this before, when you guys are talking, because your hearing on the internet is so bad, can you use your outside voice instead of your inside voice? That would be lovely to make it so it's not so hard to hear what you're saying. That's number one. Number two, there's three of you that you can't even see in your, on the internet. Just so. I was listening to your last finance meeting, and I was very disappointed in the way that you guys carried yourselves. The only two people in this room that did not laugh at the fact that I'm going to raise your fee in January for your February bill, but we're going to lower it in March. I thought that was very rude. Very rude. Does anybody agree with that?
What was that? I didn't hear everything you said.
When I was watching your meeting from last month, there was a lot of laughing going on about we're going to raise your bill in January, which you'll see in February, and then we'll lower it in March. The young man that was right there, and Randy, I'm sorry, you too. I thought it was very inappropriate, personally. Whether you agree with me or not, I don't know. You and the police chief are the only two people that were in the room that didn't laugh.
Well, I wasn't in the room.
I know you were on Zoom.
Yeah, I was zooming.
That's correct. But I just thought that was very rude, very rude. Also, you guys, the last meeting that the village solicitor, not solicitor, what was that lady's? Thank you, the administrator. On her last meeting, you guys were talking about how you go and you wanted to figure out some way to make up the money for going and putting the notices on the water bill for people that were 10 days late on making their payment. Is there any bill that you have that after 10 days, they come and put a notice on your house and threaten to terminate that service off?
Gas.
After 10 days?
I mean,
No, that's 3 months.
and we used to not do notices because there was a cost to the village and residents to do that.
I understand that, but what bill that you have to have water, you have to have your electric, and you have to have your gas. What bill that you have to have in your home, other than here in this village, that they threaten to turn it off in 10 days if you don't come and pay your bill?
Water is pretty standard practice questions nowadays.
Not in Columbus, it's not.
Water, Columbus has a slightly different setup, but they will still shut up.
It's also a very much larger area. And they have more money coming in and more revenue going out.
Just hit it. If we don't have it coming in, then we can't supply the services to everybody who does pay.
Okay, well, she's asked if there were suggestions on what to do, to counteract that. Well, on the bill this time, they put the notice on there saying that the bill is going to, or the charge $5 if you have to have the little tag put on your house. Were there any other suggestions? Were there any other ideas other than charging more money?
Other than shutting it off immediately.
I think you'd have a riot if you did that. Seriously. After 10 days?
So is that
Not
like a
everyone,
late
not,
fee?
not,
What other suggestion is there? Is there, or did you come up with any other?
That I recall.
Okay,
Do you have one for us?
I do. How about if you don't threaten somebody that they're gonna turn their water off after 10 days? I mean, if you have a homeowner here in the village, do you really think they're gonna skip out on a water bill or,
Oh,
you know?
yes.
Do either of you have our current outstanding water debt? I know we have one apartment that owes us $1,000.
Okay, that's an apartment. I'm talking about a homeowner.
We don't differentiate. It's residential.
There are some homeowners that's up there.
Okay,
Oh.
so how about instead of charging them another $5, how about if you wait and if they don't pay it, get caught up on the next month, then you do something.
Assess a late fee.
Yeah, well, you already assessed.
Well, that's what I was saying. That would be considered a late fee.
Well, it says that if the payment is paid after the first, you get charged 10% of your bill. So the regular bill is $85.42. So it's $8.50, basically 54 cents for your late fee. Okay, so if their second bill comes through and they don't pay that one on time, then go and put a notice on their door. Instead of doing it every month, why can't you do it every other month?
Well, also, I can remember years ago, you either had to pay cash or check. Now we're credit now. So you can still come in and pay your water bill with credit. And if you don't want to pay any late charge on your credit, you got 30 days to pay that bill off your credit card.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So
that's-
nice. That's nice that the village does that. But I mean, after being 10 days late on a bill, going and threatening that you're gonna turn the water off.
we don't send out notices to everyone. It's just those that are, there's a certain dollar amount that we look at when we send those to.
I disagree with
Not
that.
everybody that's 10 days late gets
No,
the tag.
no.
I've been 10 days late before, and I have gotten those notices on the 10th day that it's been late in the past. I have. So
We always pass
It
the
does
tags out on the,
It
I think
does
it's the 15th, if I remember correctly.
And not everyone, we go through the list of delinquency list. And we highlight the ones that are maybe a couple months behind, and that's when we put a door tag on. 1 month's not gonna trigger it.
it has on
Well,
my house.
like I said, it depends on the size of the bill too.
Right. The minimum, I mean, one person in my house.
Well, if you're in the minimum, maybe. I can't answer.
Without knowing more detail, we could tell you, was it a month where we just tagged everybody, or was it a month where I could tell you without more details.
Okay.
But what we can tell you is in general, if it's 1 month behind, you're not getting the tag with the shut off.
That doesn't
In
say-
general.
In general, it's somebody slipped through the cracks.
I wonder if it was at one point where we were trying to follow through. It seems like there was one point where we had several that were late and delinquent.
This
And
was like 10
so,
or 15 years ago.
okay, well, I wouldn't know about that.
Well,
It's
I
not
don't- I
anytime
don't think-
soon.
I don't think it's fair to say 10 years ago, I was late and got a tag. That was an entirely different council, different mayor, different service workers. That's,
But I'm saying it has happened.
okay.
It has happened.
10 years ago, when the only person in this room was probably Chuck and the chief,
Yeah.
it happened.
When they were my first.
So it is, I mean, can you think of anything else other than adding another fee to it? Where, is there anywhere that it's published what the fees are for turning the water off and then getting it turned back on? And I've tried pulling it up on the website, and I'll be first to admit I'm not very good on the website. Is there any place that lists what all your different fees are?
Yeah, we have.
There's
a fee
There's a
schedule.
link to all the ordinances. I'm still working on 2022s. But that, the fee schedule, that was passed a few years ago. Those should be on the website. I mean, not,
So
maybe
you
not.
have to find out
You
what
would have,
ordinance it is?
yeah, you would have to find out what,
Okay,
you have to search, you have to search through the ordinances, yes.
So there's no place where it just says if they're gonna turn your water off, that it's this much of a fee to turn your water
Yes.
back on, it's this much of a fee,
Yeah, there's a
without
fee
going
schedule.
into the
There's a fee
ordinances.
Yeah, there's a fee schedule.
I can get you a copy of the codification. I believe, yeah.
I mean, I've lived in the village almost 26 years and I've never seen them. I've never found them.
How many times have you asked and looked?
I asked, I've never asked,
Well,
to be honest.
okay.
So if you want a copy of that particular ordinance or fee
So
schedule,
it's not readily available, you have to ask.
Well, I'm
for
looking
it.
online right now.
I'm trying to look online for it to
Okay.
see where we have it posted. 'Cause the fee
But
schedule is-
like I said, I'm not good on computers. I'm the first to admit to that.
if they can't find it, you can fill out a public records request form. And it's on, or you can get a copy out there.
Yeah.
Fill it out. And I'll get you.
I'm not gonna swear to it, but I think there is something on the bill or on the green tag one that says it's a $75 fee. If we shut the water, physically shut it off and just get it back on.
Well, you also, well, since again, was quite a few years ago, but they came to my house, they did not turn the water off. I came over and paid my bill, thought I paid my bill, and it was over $100. And one, they never turned the water off. Two, that didn't bring my account up to date. I had to go and get another check and come over and pay the water bill itself.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it's been quite a while.
Yeah, things have
Quite a while.
changed. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. I
we
mean,
used to
if
do a
you,
courtesy green tag at one time, just a courtesy green tag
Yeah.
years ago.
So can you think of anything else to do other than just boom, start keep adding fees to everything or everybody?
As I said, the problem is we have an obligation to be good stewards of public finances. And so every time someone doesn't pay their bill and we have to send them a notice, or we have to send an employee to tag them, that takes money from over here and employee time and resources that you and I and everybody else that pays our bill shouldn't be paying.
So instead
So
of
we
doing
ass-
that on like on a monthly basis, could you do that like on a bi-monthly basis? That would save your workman's time, that would save your gas.
It has to be reviewed monthly, because if we have someone that has several $100s in a single month and they're not paying, we're going to want to go after them immediately, as opposed to someone that has the minimums and didn't pay on the time.
So basically, no.
Correct.
Let's see. I think that all those that were in this room at the last meeting really need to go back and look at them, the meeting, or the,
Can I respond to that?
yes.
So I'd like to respond because my response was in the irony in that we had just said that it was going to go down. So I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So, and I did not have anything to say what my reaction was in regards to, but my reaction was because of the fact that we were stating, wow, this is great, the bill's gonna go down, and then it was now that 3%. So my apologies, that was not at all tongue in cheek, because I'm impacted as well. I'm a single mother in this village. I know, well, I'm telling you, I was not happy about it. So it was the irony. That was my reaction that you were giving. Not at all, oh, that's funny. So my apologies. That was definitely not what my intention was.
And I think,
Very much accepted. It just really kind of soured me.
No,
That's kind of
I
what made
agree.
me show up tonight.
And I think it's kind of like a text. It's really difficult to understand sometimes when you receive a message, like the emotion behind it. So that was not my intention at all. It was like,
Okay,
well,
thank you,
the irony in that. So
thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome. Who do I ask questions about Rita now?
Right there.
You? Okay. We've been paying Rita to collect our taxes since about '09.
Okay.
Approximately, how much do we pay Rita a year to collect our taxes?
they charge us, probably with all the refund, they charge us about 3%.
3%. And what's the benefits of having us, everybody says to shop local. We had somebody from the accountant that was local that did collect our taxes for years. And then all of a sudden now we're shipping our taxes up to Cleveland.
They're experts at income tax collections for lots and lots of villages and cities throughout the state. A lot of governments are doing away with their income tax departments because it's more cost effective to have them do it because they charge only 3%, roughly 3%, it might be 2.5%. Plus, I remember I've lived in this village all my whole life. And yes, you're right. There was an administrator, but they weren't always following through and making sure. Whereas this company makes sure that people file their taxes. We send them information all the time. And when people move in, move out, so they stay up to date on who's required to file taxes and so forth.
Our collections increased.
Our collections have increased since I've been here since, well, for 5 years now. And the income tax collections have steadily increased over the course since I've been.
Well, I was just wondering what are the people of the village getting for paying a company out of town? What are we getting? for
Increased
that?
collections that we can use to pave streets and do other projects with.
It's cheaper, we get more money. Because there's the enforcement mechanism to collect.
Have they had to take anybody here in the village as a court?
Yeah.
All right, that was all I had. Thank you very much.
All right, thank
thank
you.
you.
Anybody else have anything for the finance committee? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Awesome. To adjourn.
Second.
And the meeting's adjourned at 6:33.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've been waiting so long.
Yeah, I need rec.
Yeah. So, quick question when we're in between. I've received some comments, complaints, plus read them online. Is there anything special going on over at the mill, like between the noise and the extra smoke? I had people ask if they knew, and it was odd hours. They were commenting between 11 at night till like 3 or 4 in the morning, especially people on that side of the village.
I knew they had some water issues, the same when we had the water break.
It would have
And,
been,
because I heard the noise too. And
Yeah.
I remember from when I went through years ago.
I know, I should
The
have.
bill, they
No,
say they're
I'll come back.
technically, if I recall, they're technically 365. Except for, there's about a 2-week period around the holidays, they shut down to do the deep cleaning stuff.
When they do that, they blow out the stacks.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is what was
That's
most
what
likely
they
happening,
do.
and this would have been,
It's loud.
That would be
it's
my, that would be
obnoxious.
my education,
Roars.
yes, is they were
They
doing,
clean
they
the
were shut
stacks.
down.
Roaring the other day.
Okay.
Roaring.
with the noise and the,
Steam
because
coming out of
people
the.
were asking, yes, yes, that's it.
Yeah, they're blowing out
Okay.
the stacks.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Couldn't find a form out there. That's what our problem is.
Thank you. Oh, and
I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Never happened.
Okay.
Chip food, is that good?
it's downstairs.
You're trying to sound so great.
Well, you know.
I thought it was very dense. Yeah, now.
So you just proved you guys really are the sweetest.
I had them earlier.
We're still
Careful,
alive.
So literally that's my response, like when we were talking about that, it was like, it's so I respond for the water bills to drop, and I was like, oh boy.
See, I'm gonna watch it now. I didn't watch that.
Oh, yeah, would you please? I know what I was thinking, and that's why I probably smirked.
Yeah, I don't exactly understand how that was offensive.
Well, she obviously didn't know it was going through my head, and there, it's fine. So I
I'm sure we all
explained
did.
it.
Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Rules Committee to order at, gosh, what time is it? 6:37. Roll call, please.
Reedy,
Oh, present.
Schaffner, President Foreman. Present.
And we also have in attendance Mayor Brad McDemus, say that right, interim VA Tim Little, Police Chief Mike Tussey, Fiscal Officer Brian Bibler, Wade Cosgray, Bryn McCreary, and Chuck Keller. Approval of the minutes of December 12th, please.
Foreman make a motion to approve as written.
Do you have a second?
Shuffling seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any visitors? 2022 goals, the employee evaluation form. Well, I think we need to get everything settled before we continue with evaluations,
Yeah,
correct?
that was a carryover from 2022. I left it in there. I made a notation in my notes that this was the agenda.
Right, right,
Our
right.
goal was last year. I didn't know if you want to bring it forward to this year and add anything to it.
What do you guys feel?
Village administrators.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yes, yes. Okay, we're gonna just table that until we have a new village administrator.
Okay.
Old business, none. New business, 600 West Market Street, the heavy duty trucks. I thought we decided that that was kind of a moot point.
Well, we tabled it to this meeting to see if there.
What has happened?
If anything's happened since then before we removed it.
I've not heard anything. Have you?
No changes.
No changes?
I mean, the only reason it ever happened was because the person with a large truck lived there.
Right, right, right.
That doesn't happen anymore, so I don't think we need to worry about it.
Okay, let's just be gone with that.
Okay.
The VA position. Thoughts about the VA position?
No, I'm confused by what we received. I have a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of questions, but I do have a few questions. The village administrator job description that we received. Well, let's move on actually to these other two, the executive administrator and an administrative assistant. Because we didn't discuss, this is 3 positions now. And I'm not clear on why there's 2 assistant positions.
Telling Tim earlier, because there's always been the administrative Barb's position, the one there. I had completely forgot the executive administrative assistant, that until it came around. That 17. Terry was big on developing employees, professional growth, etc. And trying to, I don't want to say rework the office, but encourage people to advance. And so looking at this time, and what Terry was needing in someone to assist is this position was created to see if Missy wanted to do it, to see if Missy wanted to step out of her current role and take on some more responsibilities and do some growth. Missy did not want where she's at. She does an excellent job at what she does and is happy doing what she does. So kind of just let that go by the wayside. But that's why that position description was created to try to do that. And then we would advance, growth. And then when that didn't work out, the other person, the other administrative assistant at the time, well, I can't remember if she chose to leave before we terminated her, but she was not suited for an executive administrative assistant position. So that it kind of went by the wayside at that point. We ended up hiring Barb, who in some regards fit this executive administrative assistant role as well, but we just hired her as the admin. So yeah, until it came out in the stuff, I totally forgot we had this position as well, but it might even predate.
It predated me. We stumbled across this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's
It's
just give it to her.
Vacant since it was created.
Yes.
Yes.
It's never been filled.
It's
We're
not
not
necess-
necessarily seeking to fill it here now.
It's never been filled. It was created for if, like I said, if Missy wanted to have some professional growth and move into a different role. That's what it was created for. She, like I said, she's very good at what she does. And she wants to stay there, so we never.
So we just received this information as a, here you go, this is.
These are
This-
positions.
exactly.
Because
Once I
right
found it,
now,
Yeah, we didn't know that it even, like Brian said, we didn't even know it existed until
And
I
I
found it. And then,
Totally, because this was 2017 and we didn't fill it because she chose not to.
Okay, so my second question would be, so these job descriptions that we have, the administrative assistant and the executive assistant, are those original? I mean, what I'm asking, I guess, is at our last meeting, we asked Tim to pull out what, out of the VA position, so is that what this is? Or-
both of those, you'll see the red markings. That is what I added to that job description.
Okay,
I personally added on
the
these
ones that
two
are marked
positions.
through,
No,
Just the red writing.
yeah, the only thing marked through is
Okay,
because they
okay,
have some
alright.
different wording in there. I
Got
changed the wording, but all that is in red, and it's exactly the same on both of these positions.
right,
Is what I added. I thought that's what I was asked to do. What I needed out of one of these people if I was to maintain that position.
got it.
I think the ones with the strikeout was ones that were going to be changed.
Yeah.
If they were agreed upon,
And I think
but I think
Have
they
they
got
never been-
lost. I don't think they've been finalized as of yet.
Oh, I thought we did, okay.
Yeah, because the executive one, we didn't fulfill. We created it and I don't think there's any changes on that one except what Tim added. So that
Yeah.
one would be as is. In
What's
the
the yellow?
we'll get to that one here in just a
oh, I
second. if
see.
you
So
don't
you
mind.
only were, okay, so
If you
your
go,
changes are all on your job description.
Yes.
The village administrator job description. It didn't get put into the administrative system. Okay, I got it. And so then the third question I have now is, since we have all three, is there a proposal here that we fill all three, or are we still
Well-
looking at two?
We can,
I'm only looking at one. I
Yeah,
believe that
Maybe I think we
we
need to focus
to,
on the one.
yeah, we
So-
need to get the village administrator position laid out, get that person hired, then go with everything else.
step here. And so what else is,
It was very confusing having them all sent to us.
makes sense. I get that. In the VA job description, there's, Tim will get to the stuff in the yellow. The stuff that's in the red strike through is Terry and I had been working on
Right.
updating this, but those changes have never been approved by
Okay.
council at this point either. It became, because when Terry was hired, the zoning administrator was a separate position. It
Right.
was not anywhere under the village administrator.
Right.
And then we didn't have a zoning administrator and someone needed to do it. So Terry started, so we started adding, but we've never officially updated that job description.
Looks like it's mostly just taking out extra words that aren't even
Right.
necessary. It's not really
Some of
changing.
them
Pretty
are,
much,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. As far as filling and what is before is, yes, we need a village administrator. We need a zoning administrator. We need a code enforcement person. We need a grant writer. And Terry was doing all of those. So, yes, we need a village administrator. Yes, we need an assistant. Yes, we need all of those others. Now, how we come about at that is, I think, what we're trying to figure out the best way to go going forward for the village. But those are the needs we have. Is it one person? Is it two deputy VAs? Is it a VA, an executive assistant that does some of this, and then an admin assistant that helps with all the back end paperwork? I think that's all what we're trying to discuss and figure out the best way to go.
Well, I respectfully disagree with Darla a little bit here, because I feel like in order to get a village administrator job description down, we kind of have to know what we're having as the second position. Because I've said this at the last meeting, and I've thought a lot about it, and it's still kind of just, it makes me a little nervous. Because it looks like when we talk about an administrative assistant, and these job descriptions look like, it's a secretarial position. The grant writing is what it concerns me. I do not believe that we can just bring somebody in who is going to have secretarial skills who can necessarily write a grant. And that's the part I think that worries me. So I feel like in order to know how we're going to structure the village administrator position, we have to kind of know what the second position is going to be, whether it's going to be secretarial or whether it's going to be more of a, I don't know what you want to call it, but I really hate the administrative assistant title a lot. So that's where I am.
I was led to believe that a lot of the grant writing is in conjunction with the engineers, and third-party companies may have better awareness of what's available. We can't expect like a small town village administrator to be aware of everything. So isn't there a lot of outsourcing of that that can be arranged and maybe get better results?
I don't know that we'd get better results because Terry was pretty damn good at getting grades. I think
But we don't have Terry anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we could
So-
rely on the Fairfield County's group that they have.
So the Fairfield County group,
I know you're
there
not.
there are
it's not fun.
there are VA listservs and emails that come out about grant opportunities. The county commissioners have paid a group to help with grants for small villages. All that group has done is email me and Terry the grants that we already get emails about that are out there. To date, I haven't seen them get us or notify us of one grant that we didn't already know about. A lot of the work on the grants, especially the CDBG and OPWC grants, is engineering. So that goes out to the engineering groups to do. But on the backside, there's a lot of work that was done in-house with Terry and Brian. Brian throwing together all the financial aspects, the consumer impacts. You know, the engineer does here's the technicals, here's everything else. And there would be dozens of hours in each grant here, because you're writing summaries of them, it's narratives, it's checklists. So some of it is outsourced, and a lot of it is done in-house. Is it something we could outsource? Absolutely. But like a lot of stuff, I know a grant writer that I had to, in another place, and I charge as an attorney to do a grant.
Right, but it isn't like a 40-hour week thing. It's, we're gonna do this grant, it's gonna take 4 hours or whatever to get that together.
They
It's
don't
not a
take
40-hour week job though.
Outsourcing a grant, you're looking at about $20,000 to $30,000 for the grant writer to put it together. That doesn't include your engineering costs and now that grant is a little bit bigger than some of the ones we do here, but not much, because some of the CDBG and OPWC and the road grants were $1 million grants. So you're probably looking at, I would guess if I were doing it, I would budget $20,000 per grant for us.
Yeah.
Just that one grant.
Yeah, at this point though. we're
But
not
those are
gonna-
individual grant writers.
Yeah.
Those are individual grant writers that, yes.
That's all they do is write grants.
And the new village administrator will be in place for a year or more before we even know for sure whether they're really good at it or not. And you're just not gonna know going in. Unless they can show us a resume.
Unless they have
having done it,
experience.
which no one currently
Nor can we
is
afford
ready.
someone like that.
Has shown me anything like that.
Right. Because I mean, even for Tim sitting over here, he's only got the one side of the grant stuff that's been done.
Right.
The other stuff, and he sees you saw the final product, but how Terry put that rest of that together.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Washington Street water line that she got the grant from the county for numerous hours from her. I know that. How many? I have no idea. It could have been 100 hours. It could have been 300. But I know she spent a lot of time.
Yeah, grants are one of those, they're kind of like laws in Congress and sausage. You don't want to know how it's made. They take a lot more time than we assume they take. And it is a very specific skill set, you know, it outside of paying someone the
Yeah, I
$20,000.
guess that's why I figured it might be better outsourced.
We're not. And like I said, it depends on who's there. Someone with technical writing backgrounds and stuff like that can probably hop in and do them. There are other resources, because when Terry was first hired, she did not have a lot of grant writing experience, but she went out and did a small grant and then took a workshop and got better, and we got good results. So you can do the self-teaching thing. So, you know, I guess to be is grant writing experience something that we absolutely have to have? No, it would be nice, but someone that can follow instructions, has experience writing something, you know, like I said, technical or even, you know, English majors, if they can understand it, put it together, and you can follow the checklist to get everything together, it can be done.
Well, I would like to go back to your original proposal. And maybe I've misunderstood something, but at the last meeting, and of course, you know, Aaron, you weren't here, so you weren't here to mitigate the conversation, but
Well, I listened to most of it, and I mean, you guys had a good conversation about it.
okay. Well, I felt, and maybe I'm wrong, that people misunderstood what your proposal was, because I got the impression that some of us thought that it was, you know, two administrators basically the same duties. But my was to village administrators separate duties. That's what I got.
Yeah, a combination, co-equal powers and authority,
Right.
separate duties and responsibilities. Think of it CEO and COO. Or a better analogy would be, two director level, if you're more familiar with private sector. Director of area A, director of area B. Co-equal powers at the top, different responsibilities, different silos to work in, but these silos also have to interact with each other.
Right. I think there was some concern, if I recall, that they would both be supervising the same people and that there could be conflict with that, but
I can see that. So again, separate, so basically administrator A, you got water, wastewater, streets, the in the field personnel. Administrator B, your office staff, parks,
Or HR.
pool, HR, economic development, grant writing, the administrative office side. Now, Administrator A on vacation for 2 weeks, Administrator B is absolutely in charge over here and vice versa. And stuff, but as far as day-to-day going, person over here is not going to be telling the guys in the street that they need to be doing this instead of that. That's outside of that responsibility. Does that help clear it up a little bit?
that's, and again, maybe I misunderstood, well, just from the conversation, I thought. That's what I understood it.
And what you're describing to me sounds like what we're talking about with the village administrator and the whatever we want to call him, administrative assistant. But we've determined who the top person is and the next person reports to them. And I like that model much better.
The one thing and we might be able, the one thing I want to make sure we have is, because it bothered me when Terry go on vacation and we'd have to have someone sign off on something for the EPA. If she was on vacation, she's technically the only person that can sign it. The village administrator by law is in charge of our utility plants, our water and wastewater. Our operators of record can do certain things on there, but there are certain things that only the village administrator can sign off on.
But as the chief, why can't you sign off?
In some instances, I can.
And
And
then,
in some instances, I don't know that I would want to, because when the village administrator signs off on it, they're sometimes making a certification that they've reviewed it, it's accurate. And as much as I like to think I know everything, I don't know everything. And so,
how many
do I-
times does something like that
It
happen?
can't
I
happen very
mean,
often.
are they off a week? Are they off 2 weeks? Does really something have to happen like now?
sometimes with the EPA, yes.
Yeah.
And the one time I did make the call, the EPA tried to fine us, because when we had the chemical overflow in the water turned pink, and I said, shut it down, and let's notify the news and emergency management, and don't use your water. EPA got mad because I should have known to call them first. I wasn't supposed to notify residents that they shouldn't be using their water because there's high levels of chemical in it.
But even then, and for the same reason, only one of them is going to review, they're not both going to review all of that material and be
Right, I just,
cognizant of it.
it's a redundancy thing.
Yeah.
Just like Brian, if Brian gets sick tomorrow, we're in a little bit of trouble.
But we can't have a redundant full-time employee.
We can't have redundant full-time employees, but we need redundants that people that can sign off and keep the things going. You know, Brian's a little separate. We need someone that can do the payroll. If the VA is on the country, we need someone else. And if it's me, then it's me. Ideally, to have someone else in the office that's updated on the day-to-day. I mean, I could. Just have redundancy, that backup. It's kind of what I'm looking for. And if, you know, in executive assistant, if the VA is on vacation, the EPA would be okay with that, then cool. But I don't know until we ask them. I know under the revised code, the VA, the designated village administrator, is the person that has to do that.
Well, and from what I'm seeing in the administrative assistant and the executive assistant, whichever one we kind of go with, they may be every bit as much aware of what's going on with things as the village administrator, because they're preparing all the metrics for us. They're doing the office side of it. They're actually feeding the information to the boss.
So if you did it more of the administrative assistant like Barb, yeah, because she was doing it. But if you do more of the executive, where I think it's been added in here, where they're doing the zoning and the code enforcement and grant writing and economic development stuff, they're not going to be as involved in the day-to-day of the water and wastewater. So,
I would like to say that I prefer the mayor's proposal only because I feel like we have sort of reduced this to, we're going to have a village administrator and the village administrator is going to have a secretary. And I think it needs to be more, the job needs to be more than secretary position. Nothing against secretaries. I have been a secretary. So it's not, I'm not, you know, downplaying secretaries at all. I just feel like it needs to be more of an elevated, the second position, whether or not they, report to the VA, needs to be more of an elevated position.
It's greater skill set.
Sorry.
Greater skill set is what you're saying.
would you do that? Sorry, would you do that as I proposed, as like two co-equal village administrators, or would you do it more as a village administrator? And let's just call it a deputy administrator that is slightly below the village administrator, but they can step into that role. Deputy then has their own responsibilities. What are your thoughts on the?
And then are those people going to have secretaries also?
Well, and
I mean, come on,
I
guys.
I think if we have, whether it's two or a VA and a deputy where they're under, is there going to be a need for an administrative assistant, a secretary? Yes. Is it a full-time position or a part-time to three-quarter time position? That I don't know. I think that would depend a little bit on the two people in those positions and how much they want to do themselves. Could I see it being there? Yes, because then you would have, because Missy has her own stuff to do. So then you would have an administrative assistant to back up your VA, your deputy VA, and Brian. That is the, helps with the minutes, puts the helps put the,
That's
the
nothing
documents.
different than we had before, right?
That would be very similar to what we had before, Barb, correct?
Except now you've added a second VA.
Except now we've added a second, Now,
I've been concerned with the grant writing, and I know we do have one candidate that does have grant writing experience. at least one, correct? And that's kind of what, I think that's what's stuck in the back of my mind, but I think I'm pretty sure I know that I'm in the minority here, but I just feel that it needs to be, I mean, when I look at this, what we asked Tim at the last meeting to just pull out the job description, you know, what he would, if we were going to get him an assistant tomorrow, you know, what in this job description would you have them do? And really, it's very minimal. It's, in my opinion.
I feel like we're making it appear as though there's a lot more that needs to be done here than there really is. This village is not that big. There's work to be done. But as I've said before, the VA used to be part-time. Town hasn't grown a bit. The chief used to be part-time. Town hasn't grown a bit. The fiscal officer used to be part-time. Town hasn't grown a bit, but everything seemed to get done. Now, when we went to full-time on the VA, did we maybe apply for more grants and do more good work there? I believe we probably did. But depending on which VA it was good or bad.
And our population hasn't increased, but we do have more traffic come through here. We are getting businesses. And of course, Morpsey, take it for what they will. Lancaster and Pickerington are growing. We know it's coming.
We do.
So we want to make sure we're not in 10 years set up behind the scenes. But basically, as far as running the village, I don't want us to be in the waterline condition. We don't want to be 20 years behind when all of a sudden we say, well, shoot, we should have done this. There are a lot more regulations and things that go on day to day that we have to do from the village administrator side. Keep this in mind too. Village administrator attends, well, we got what, six council and committee meetings a month, so there's 72 meetings. Planning commission, because we're the zoning administrator, there's another 12, so we're up to 74. Tree commission, we're at 72, 84, 95 of tree commission. 95 meetings just with immediate stuff.
The village and then
With
it's
the-
outside of it.
That doesn't include commissioners meetings, regional planning meetings, regional economic development meetings, all of the 204 wastewater meetings. There's easily over 100 meetings per year that the village administrator attends, and the council committee, tree committee, and planning and zoning are all after 5 p.m.
And I would also add that I think the village now is much more together than it was under some prior part-time village administrators. I think Terry did a lot of work, and I think that she really brought things up to a place where.
And I guess what I would challenge you, Rick, is if you don't think there's a lot of work, and I know it's hard because you have a business to run as well.
Yeah, and I know how many transactions and data
But-
and how much is flying around on that and compared to this, and it's like, there's nothing going on here.
Well, what I would challenge you is come in for a 1 or 2 week period and see what actually goes on. Because it might seem like there's not, but there's a lot.
Okay, how about if, because obviously we're not gonna come to a decision tonight. How about if you, Brian, whoever, takes your plan where you say, this person's gonna be the office, blah, 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 and this person's gonna be the streets and all that. Split them, split the actual information. Tell this person, okay, what meetings are you gonna go to? Are you gonna go to the 204 thing? Are you gonna go to the zoning? Who's gonna do what is the way you look at it. who's gonna do what exactly, and come back with us next meeting and say, this is kind of what I'm proposing.
So almost like a detailed job description.
Yeah, I
Pretend as-
mean, 'cause
Pretend as
if-
if you've said, go do this and make it happen. You want to see this person's going to do this person.
Maybe
absolutely,
in the
because
last-
if you've got two people
Not doing the same thing.
not doing the same thing, but they are doing the same thing, who's gonna go to that 100 meetings that you're talking about? Which one of them is? You know, who's
Well,
gonna do what
and-
and
and-
where? You,
And- and-
if you're wanting us to split it, you need to give us detailed info.
I can do that, but at the same time, I don't want to go too micromanaging on it because the village administrator,
But now it's not one village.
but it's not, it's two. I would trust them to decide who is better equipped and to figure out who wants to go to which meetings. The one village administrator might say, well, I want to do service and safety and council that night because that's my silo. And the other one says, well, the other night is finance and rules and council. And I'll go there because that has to deal more with the office and internal workings. What do you need to know for finance? Because a lot of our finance is, of course, service and safety, but, I would want them to figure that out. There might be a rules meeting that deals more with wastewater and maybe they switch.
But
I would request,
that muddles the water though.
Well,
That
I would-
muddies
I
the
would-
water.
I would expect, I think both of them to be here at every meeting.
or you could expect them both to be here.
I think, I would thought she was asking more like, you had the blue block thing. And that would be almost an elaboration of that. I think there were people who were also confused by that and maybe not understand the way you had it sorted out. But it would follow, and it would follow that diagram, here are the things that this person over here would do and this. and
Yeah. That blue block is kind of how it would be. One would have streets, water, wastewater. The other has,
I can't go down that line. I can't
Like you have-
see
yeah,
that
If you have like
that's.
a village department's superintendent, and then you had a village administrator.
Yeah, I mean, you're only as good as the people under you.
Right.
And therefore, if you have a VA that
so
manages the village, if you will.
Some of the meetings could be staffed to the executive assistant.
Yeah,
It doesn't-
exactly.
Like the building administrator. has
And,
to
and,
attend all of
and
them.
that's why I don't want to get into the, well, here's the job description, you will attend this, because sometimes, but the way I had it here is, so one VA, which I call the utilities VA, had streets, wastewater, water, and grants, because they're involved in part of that. The other one had office and utility collection, lands and buildings, fiscal officer, HR, zoning administrator, code enforcement, grants, economic development.
And you're saying that none of the employees will ever overlap with that.
No, some of. Are you talking these two or like our current? employee overlap?
No, that one right there.
Like
I'm
the-
not
the
buying
two
into
VAs?
this right here.
Are
That's
you
what I'm
talking
saying.
about the
Are they-
employees under the VAs or the VAs themselves?
No, under the employees, employees under, you're saying that, somebody that's on the street needs to go over there and mow a yard or something.
Yeah,
You're gonna get muddy, you're
too
too many chiefs.
I don't see that as muddying the water. I see it as because, and if that's the case, then lands and buildings goes under the utilities one, and then we got the mowing issue solved. But our current employees shouldn't be doing zoning administration, though. This Tim, the other Tim, Joey's probably done it once or twice, go out and find pins.
Yeah, even when Terry was here.
Yeah, they would go find the pins because Terry was so busy, they'd find the pins and then she'd go out and mark it off. Is that going to happen? Absolutely. We're too small not to have that happen. Because there are times that Joey out of water plant gets paid out of streets because they're working on a street project and the street guys get paid out of water.
Right.
We're too small not to do that. But that doesn't mean
So this person basically is gonna have two bosses. He's gonna go,
Too small for two bosses. is my-
No, I don't think so, because hey, let's take one of the streets guys, because they end up having to mow occasionally. That village administrator, those two are talking, hey, I need so-and-so to help me mow on Tuesday.
Well, I need to fill in potholes.
Yeah,
Can't have him. I need him over here.
they have to figure out, and that's, when it's one VA, they have to figure out which is more important.
Right.
but they
So-
have to listen to that one VA. Where you have two VAs, then you're gonna have two people telling him what to
I
do,
didn't get
and
my
he's
work
gonna
done
go,
because you took my peak.
what am I supposed to do?
I need more
Mr.
people.
Mayor, right above.
There you go, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
but on a daily basis, you're not here managing that type of thing.
I'm not here managing. If they call it, I would probably roll with them and say, come on, guys, figure it out.
They're
Well,
all more
and
likely
that's
to
what I
want
was just
to-
gonna
But I
say.
don't see that as an issue, because we had that issue as it was, because Terry would say, okay, so you're going over here to mow with Peg because we need the park mowed. And Tim would say, well, I planned us on doing this day and I need to have them that day.
Yeah, but somebody had to find work.
Sometimes
And
Tim
he
needed
could-
to
he
be
would
reminded
lobby
of
his
that.
case, yeah, yes, of course. I would lobby his case. He's allowed to do that.
But I guess the way we work, I don't see, and maybe I'm too much on the other side. When police officers get called for mutual aid, and I have a Whitehall officer show up in Reynoldsburg, they take their orders from that Reynoldsburg cop that
I'm
calls
sure
them.
they do.
So when our street guy gets called over to mow, they're gonna take their orders from that person for that day while they're mowing.
I just don't see it happening that
I
way.
think we have to remember too, that these are gonna be professional people. I just don't see it happen. I just don't see it happening either. I mean, I think that hopefully we would hire two people professional
We're not gonna
enough
find it.
that they
Candidate
can
moving
figure it
forward
out, like he said.
That's gonna do, one person to do all of that. So splitting it up kind of makes sense in my mind.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Wade?
The, like, one, like an administrator that does all of that with the grant writing experience and all that sort of stuff, we're not really gonna be able to afford them. I think that's been tossed out there.
Or find them.
Well,
Or
exactly.
find somebody who can do it all.
But
I mean, I think that's his
like the
point.
mayor was saying, it needs, some of those things sort of need paid attention to, so somebody's got to do it. So I kind of like the idea of having like an administrator and like a superintendent.
Me too.
So then they have clearly defined roles and
I think that's the key,
responsibilities,
clearly defined roles.
Right.
and then they can collaborate, and all that other stuff, but essentially it's a village administrator and another sort of, I don't know, assistant administrator. We don't have to call him the administrator, we call him like the superintendent or something.
Deputy,
That'd be legal.
but something that clearly delineates, there's one person in charge.
Yeah, and that's
Well, no,
the part I'm
that
saying.
is correct. What I originally posed was essentially two very co-equal, but, with that executive and how we've been discussing, VA and deputy VA. Again, my,
They would take out that element.
when I came up with this, like I said, my big overarching concern is that we have a redundant person available for EPA requirements, because we missed that.
And
And it doesn't happen often.
what we're talking about here isn't drastically different than what we already had. We had Barb as basically what you want to call an executive assistant or administrative assistant. We had Terry as village administrator. And to some degree, Tim was our services director, no matter how you slice it.
But Barb didn't go out and do zoning, code enforcement, HR.
Grant writing.
So we're going to be looking for that in that position, or the ability to assist the VA in doing that.
But that is more than an administrative assistant.
We're not talking about names here now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
executive assistant, administrative assistant is a job description.
It's gonna be whatever into the job.
Right,
description.
no matter what you call it.
When I guess whatever we call it and come up with, though, if it doesn't fit into what we currently have, Rules Committee and eventually council has to either modify job descriptions, titles, pay bands, or create new ones. And that, I think that's where we're trying to get to tonight, so we can figure out that direction. You're right, to some degree, it is just job descriptions and titles, but we have to work within what's been codified, or like Brian will yell at us when he gets audited because we're working outside of our ordinances. And they'll say, you don't have this job description in this pay band, so why are you doing this?
So in that case, if we're back to where there's a village administrator and like a deputy administrator or an executive assistant or whatever we label it, I feel like we need to fill that village administrator job first.
And if, yes,
Yes,
I think especially if, and kind of what I'm hearing from council is this route is village administrator, whatever we call it, just underneath.
Right.
Then absolutely, that top one needs filled first.
but we need, I don't think we need to know
We need to know what we're going to
Yes.
call it, what job functions we're going
They're
to
gonna
put in
do,
there.
And who we
Yes.
hire as a village administrator may change the job description of the deputy administrator or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
Which is why when I initially proposed it as co-equals, my same job description on both,
Pretty much.
your experience with the EPA stuff, this is your silo, your experience with the other stuff, this is your silo. 10 years from now, that could change. And so, yeah, very, very similar job descriptions. Again, why I was going more or less the co-equal. But, I mean, we've all been out there, there are CEO, COO job descriptions. They're essentially identical, except for the title and one goes to board meetings.
And the CEO report, the COO reports to the CEO.
Correct, but essentially the same job descriptions. So, I mean, it can be done. We can write two positions, same job descriptions, one slightly below the other, and then fill that top one, and then based on who's in that top one is what you look for in the second one.
Do we need anything out of rules for tonight? I mean, or
No,
where are we headed with this, I guess?
Yeah,
I guess what I'm hearing is the general preference is for a clearly delineated hierarchy,
correct.
so that what I need to do then is we have the job descriptions. So what we, I guess, need to do then is what are-
Accept the job descriptions,
and what,
they're not.
modify the job descriptions.
Well, as I said, the village administrator, we gotta focus on first, so that's the only one we can really complete. Because we can't really see what we need in the other one until we identify the candidate and see what their strengths are and see what we
And
need
so-
the second person to be able to.
so maybe for the next rules, and to go to council, we just need to decide what we're going to call it, because then Jeff can prepare the legislation for our first reading. Is it a deputy administrator? Or is it or do we modify the executive assistant? It's going to have
But
the same,
again-
it's going to have the same job description as the village administrator with the one line of reports to village administrator.
Yeah.
But not really.
Well, the other question is, which one is of your which blocks is the top person? Or be that maybe the HR.
I think that actually gives flexibility now and in the future. Because you can take your strongest candidate now, might have more skills on the EPA side. But that person's not gonna be here forever. And in 10 years, maybe the best candidate has the other skill set. it gives,
We don't need to worry about it
Flexibility.
down the road.
No.
Down the road, somebody else will change it all. So I think we need to worry about the here and now, and it sounds to me like we're dragging this timeline out pretty darn far.
Well,
well, I mean,
What
the
I'm
legislation
saying-
can come for the next meeting. Rules has discussed it and it can go for a reading and then council can say, we want to talk about it more and send it back to rules, or no, we want to do this. And if that's where we're going with it, then I can move forward on a VA. And then we can figure out what comes next.
well, in all reality, if you're gonna have a top VA, they're responsible for everything. They're responsible for this deputy person or executive or whatever you want to say. So the VA is the VA.
And that's why I think we need to focus on that, because I think that person knows their own strengths and weaknesses and should be involved in who we choose to back that up, to fill that in.
So are you saying that we hire the person first and do the job description after?
No, not for the VA.
Now, I think what he's saying is hire the VA,
Oh,
As is.
the deputy VA, and I'm just going to use that term for this. The deputy VA job description is going to be substantially similar, but reports to the VA. But the VA, when they're in place, then is participating in the hiring, selection, and
Oh,
job.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And may plan on using that person to complete some of their tasks. I mean, that's kind of their job.
Yeah.
Is to do what the VA asks them to do. And if that is do the actual grant writing or do the actual letter to the zoning or whatever, then that's part of the job. So I guess I feel like we need to focus on the top job with the current VA job descriptions and worry about the secondary job once that person is employed.
so I'll have Jeff work for the next council meeting too. Our top current VA pay band is, what would you send me, Brian, $61,000? I know Terry was only making 58 when she left, which is incredibly low. Well, because we're running low.
Right.
I'll get with Brian. Expected ordinance to increase the range. When we did all the salary ranges, we didn't do the VA.
Right.
So we'll need to increase
Right.
that.
And I think, if I remember, the last one that you guys did, it was a spreadsheet somewhere, and it went clear out to 2025. I think the
Right.
maximum-
21.5.
2025.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we did move it up that far. And
so just to be clear, so
we
I,
also agreed
so I
that
kn-
if we look at it,
so I know that I really understand this, that then we're going to proceed with, the plan would be to hire somebody under the current job description and then split it out in, based on their strengths and what they would like to see the deputy VA or whatever it's called do. Is that-
because in all reality, that person, whoever you hire, is responsible for all of that stuff.
So I said that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to send to council? What is it that you need from the rules committee?
I don't know that we need a motion or anything right now, because it's,
Nothing changes.
if nothing changes, we'll have that ordinance for the pay portion if we missed it
Right.
for the next meeting, but otherwise, I don't think anything.
Are we
The
going to
discuss-
interview? Yeah. Are we going to interview the current candidate? Where are we at on that? I wasn't expecting that long of a pause.
Right, David, pause.
So,
And is this a discussion right now with the current people in the room?
I don't mind.
Okay.
My, so we've always done. We've only got a few names in there. Council's there. It's one of those mayor makes the appointment, council approves. I have my decision.
as to who to hire or who to interview?
Who to hire. But I need to check salary.
Should we put it back out there in the world? And try to get some other people, although you've already made your mind up.
I think it's still out there. isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
Still out
still
there.
continuing.
Have any more from you?
Can I ask for a quick clarification? I just want to make sure, did we get clear understanding of what the yellow is on here? And then there was also an FLSA status that was exempt salary or hourly question mark. I just want to make sure we're understanding.
Okay, the yellow is more or less what I've figured out that I've been doing.
Okay.
Since I've been here.
In addition to what was here? Okay, thank you.
And the hourly question mark, because it was at one time brought up, okay, if you got hired to do this job, can you still do what you do daily that I was hired to do? Yes, but it's like the last pay, I mean, I had 40 hours overtime.
Overtime.
So, yeah, I mean, it was because of everything that was going on with water breaks and snow and
Yeah, that was
It-
unusual.
it was unusual.
That was a really bad one.
and the only reason I put that there, because you get, if you go over 40, you get more time for it to take off, but I can't take 2 weeks of vacation now. And that's the hard part. We're so small and so little, it's hard to take all your time off every year. That's why I put that question mark on.
Thank you. That's fine.
And that, I know we're running close, that'll probably be something to come up in rules in a little bit later too, is the amount of time. I know we just recently changed it for carryover, but I don't want anybody, some of the employees might not want to pay out, they might want to save it for an actual longer vacation. So that might be coming up. But I think I've got my marching orders.
Are we adjourning rules then?
I believe we are adjourning the rules committee.
Motion adjourned.
All in favor?
I heard one eye.
Aye.
All right. We need a quick break. Yeah.
Yes.
Still got a question. We got council coming up right back up.
Say who what?
Welcome back to Ohio. Chuck.
Is it?
I don't know. Yeah,
If a
yeah, I'll
question
try to be
pops
back
up.
for a while.
Yeah.
Jim, we circulated.
Hey, Mike. I don't know what happened. You were included in those.
Speak up.
All right.
I got reason to
We're
come
not
down.
really
I
reordering any.
went through it, I'm
I
like,
have to do that
wait a
separate
minute,
meeting,
you're on
and I
search.
just-
Your outside.
I mean, really.
There's a ton of stuff on there.
Oh, gotta use my language.
I just pulled it up, and
You were included in all those.
I don't know why. I always put it up that way. I can put it on my phone and just watch, instead of.
Just
printing a bunch
call
of
the
stuff out.
meeting to order. And
Yeah, well, I mean, you do have items on the agenda, so reaffirm council rules.
that, and it got sent out, but I'm not redoing any assignments.
Wait a minute.
General Assembly, Congress, I mean, change, when they have personnel change.
I'm to the point where I know.
You're good.
And those are staying the same, so the only. thing you need to do
I know,
without
I know.
worrying about President and council.
This is what I'm looking for. And this is what I'm looking for.
Reaffirm and reaffirm.
Well, if you were in Japan, you'd have a heat.
Okay.
So Ryan's told me that this
Mayor,
has disappeared. Remember that?
Mayor.
This is a.
If you, I just have a question. If you present a candidate at the next council meeting, will we have the opportunity to go into executive session to discuss it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know how, if you have a preference on how we get this to.
Well, here's what I think to do.
That's good. Nothing else, I mean, everything else is exactly as it was in the fall. when I-
How's that do on your hip sitting that long? You can feel it, huh? Yeah, I can feel it in my knee sitting on it as well. Oh, yeah.
Well, they cut it down there and, or somebody can get them
It's like a
to.
metal plate somewhere, you know?
Yes,
You don't need to sign anything.
No.
like a tin man, you need it, you really can.
I sit on metal plate.
Oh,
We got you.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not
over 80,000.
I know, I was like, I'm only 52. This should not be happening. Judith just had her hip, was it bilateral? or-
$48.
Yeah. Mine's from damage years. It's like, oh, it's arthritis. When I go
Here's
see
what,
them, it's like-
here's what I've learned as I've entered horse world.
Yes, it's
Horse people.
blind. Until I get it out.
Oh,
So
they
that's why I
spend money.
describe it as opening.
Uh-huh.
They spend money.
Actually, Congress. I went to Congress. $100,000 trucks. Yeah. You know, here's, I mean, they got horse trailers with live-ins that are nicer than RVs and hotels. Everybody back, we ready?
I think so.
Well, waiting on Brian now. There. All right. And we're recording and stream. All right, so we will call this January 9th meeting together. We will begin with prayer and pledge. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call.
Are we in the reorg meeting or?
Just the regular meeting. I'm just going to roll them all together. So
Okay.
just
Okay. Cosgrave,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
McCreary,
Present.
Reedy,
Present.
Schaffner.
Present.
all right. Everyone's here. Welcome back, Chuck.
Thank you, back.
All right.
I'm going back down.
So before we get to the regular agenda, we'll go through the reorg stuff real quick. I emailed everybody, wasn't going to change committee assignments. We'll get to that, but there are a few things to do. First is adoption of council rules. It's a pro forma thing. Council typically does it at the first meeting with the reorg meeting every year, just reaffirming your existing rules. Of course, rules committee can always look and modify them as needed.
Second.
I'll make a motion. We keep the rules of council going.
For a second.
And discussion. Let's see.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Rules will be adopted. The second is president of council.
I nominate Darla Reedy.
I'll second that.
I make a motion we close nomination.
I'll second that too.
Discussion on closing? Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes,
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Abstain.
okay, Schaffner,
Yes.
Nominations closed. Roll call vote on Ms. Reedy as president of council.
okay, Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yes, abstain.
Okay.
Congratulations.
You can vote. You can vote.
Okay.
Yeah, you can vote for
good.
yourself.
I'll be like the,
As we learned
House committee.
15 times over this
That's
past
right.
week.
Yes.
Thank you for being more efficient, everyone.
Oh, geez, thank you, guys.
The Foreman second, that's right.
Yeah. All right, next, committee meeting dates and times. We've had the schedule for a while. Does anybody see a reason to change it? If not, we'll entertain a motion to maintain the current meeting schedule.
Former to make a motion to maintain the current committee meetings.
All right, discussion. Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes,
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
All right, we'll maintain that. Council committee appointments, I emailed out, wasn't going to change them. It occurred to me, why change them every year? General Assembly, Congress, they change them when personnel changes at elections. It seems like an opportune time. However, Jeff asked that I ask for a motion to approve the continuing committee appointments.
I'll move that we keep the same committee appointments.
A second.
Discussion? And roll call.
Okay, Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes,
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
And last on the reorg would be external committee appointments. But I have to admit, I have this little checklist for reorg, and when I said I'm not going to do a reorg this year, I didn't look at it, so I haven't looked to see if I need to replace anybody yet. So if I do, I'll bring that at the next meeting.
Did we determine if there's a council member on the new parks board?
I haven't looked at that. Because we gotta get the park board stuff going, and I need a VA to help with that.
I would think that there is, but I could be wrong.
It should be in the ordinance that we have.
I can't remember. I thought we put the council off and the VA was going to sit in,
The VA was gonna be,
kind of like the running the meeting, because then, because you got all the different organizations we're supposed to be.
Hey. Brian, do you know if you've scanned that ordinance yet about the new parks thing?
I know there's a few that need to be scanned in there, the signed ones, and I can't remember.
Okay.
I know which ones need to be scanned.
As you're flipping through, if you find the one about the parks board reorg, pull it out or let me know or scan it so we can get that, because I know it's in there. And if you can't find it, then it's online and we'll look for it. So, all right. In that case, then that finishes the reorg. So we will move on to approval of the December 12th meeting minutes.
Former makes a motion, we approve it as written.
McCreary, second that.
Discussion.
Roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes,
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
All right, minutes will be approved. No visitors here. Move on to admin reports. Couple of things, I made some notes, but I'm gonna start, we had,
Going to approve the agenda.
Yeah, you skipped the motion.
oh, I skipped agenda. How about that?
Former makes a motion, we approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Reedy seconds. Reedy second.
Discussion, roll call.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Trying to get everybody home to CTC, or pull off the upset of the century. All right, we had a visitor in finance. And I, other things she said aside, yeah, we know the video, that's the best place we can get it. I don't know that that is what it is. But I listened to the December 12th meeting, and when you're talking, every now and then you get a little crackle. And of course, when everybody's talking, it can be a little difficult, but I had no problems hearing what was going on. And I went back to a couple of specific points on it. One, when you guys were talking about the tap fees, because the minutes, I couldn't tell from the minutes, which were good. But I couldn't tell. I wanted to see if there's discussion about if there was a prior annexation agreement or not. And I heard the discussion's fine. So.
I know, I gotta chime in here. I know that I've had problems hearing, even just sitting back here in the corner with me, and I have had people say that to me, that you can't understand some people on, so maybe some of us just need to pipe up a little.
And that could be too. So. All right, and then, where are we at? Tim, are you going to give an update on the utility truck?
Yes.
Okay, I won't hit on that. Give you guys advance notice. Tim's also going to hit on a wastewater issue we had when the temperature dropped. Basically, long story short, the bug said, I can't do this big of a drop this quick. My first question was, well, can't we heat the water? We heat pools and saunas, and Tim had the same question. It turns out you can. So Tim's on a little adventure to try to figure out how much it will actually cost to heat that to keep the bugs happy. It'll help not only when the temperature drops 50 degrees in 2 hours, but just as it gets colder. I know Tim has said that that's probably a next year or year after project. And in my mind, depending on cost and how long it takes, I would like it done rather sooner rather than later. So I'm just throwing it out there. If I get my way, we might come to you to reappropriate some more money so that we can get that done this year. Obviously, if it's a big project, that's not going to happen, but I'm hoping it can be done easily. It's the beginning of the year, so everything's kicking back up. Regional planning is updating the county plans. I haven't been able to meet with James yet. Hopefully now that I have clarity on VA position, because I'd like the VA, because the VA is our regional planning liaison as well. Downtown businesses, we had a meeting a couple months ago. I've confirmed the Opera House for February 15th at 6 p.m. I'll get letters out to downtown businesses. I want to talk about specifically parking and making it work, and hopefully get something in place before it starts to thaw out and start to get parking issues again. I saw some stuff, and I know some of y'all reached out as well. I was hoping he would be here tonight so I could yell at him about his lovely social media posts about our trash contract and the 30% increase. Because I know Kevin knows that a 30% increase works with the law of numbers. 30 cents is a 30% increase on $1. If everyone asks, their trash bills increased by 91 cents a week. It's billed quarterly, so it shows up as $15.
Basic trash is $4.25 a week.
Yeah, it went up 91 cents.
I probably said too much, but
No, you were fine. It is a 30% increase. It went up from $10 and change to $13 and change per month. Yeah, that's a 30% increase. But it's also the law of small numbers there. It's 91 cents a week. So I was hoping he'd be here because usually he's very supportive, and I was kind of disappointed to see how he put that out there. But hopefully, and I started updating the website. Our website is good at some things. Updating it is not the easiest thing in the world. For instance, when we go to put all the council meetings on, I can't just upload a spreadsheet. You got to enter them one by one. As we discussed, there's 100 of them. But I started adding frequently asked questions to it. And one of the first ones I added was, why did my trash bill increase? So hopefully we'll add more on that. DAC, the health department, will be meeting in March. We know our increases for this year, but our meeting is in March. And that's all I have at the moment. If anybody has any questions. Not turn it over to Tim.
We will start with the wastewater plant. yes, we did have some issues there. When that weather went from 45 degrees down to negative, whatever, it went to 31 with the wind chill. We had some issues out there. Biology was definitely one of them. We had a transducer that fell, got froze up. and that-
Tim, I can't
Oh, I'm
understand.
sorry. Yeah, biology, that kind of fell. We did have a transducer, which shows us all our levels. It fell. Essentially, it would not let that plant run. The wastewater treatment plant just would not. We tried to start it on 10 gallon a minute. It would not run. We had an overflow that week, which went basically from 1223 to 1226. It was reported along with the 800 and some odd other ones. Who knows? There was a lot of plants that had difficulties that week, just with that sudden snow. Overall, that would be done by the first of the year. It did not spread sludge on snow. It's EPA requirement because of runoff when it melts. And they tilled the fields, and then the fields have been so wet they can't get the tractors in there. We are continuing to pump to a bag. So we got our 4th bag, it's still rolling. So when weather permits it, we do pump ourselves to the bag. We got our wasting so we can waste more, which helps the membrane run better. The water treatment plant, water breaks on that week of 1226. Don't have exact dates in front of me. Had one on Park Street was the first one, and then West Market, which was a large break that we ended up having to throttle a lot of things down, take the pressure off the guys to get in there and make a repair. And then one at Cliff and Park, smaller break, but it's just, you can see where the pipe just broke on top, just the ground show. Street department, they're still trying to patch holes when they can. They got a lot of equipment maintenance and repairs that they've been doing. And along with that is we had one employee that was taking our large service truck with a crane on it to get a recall notice done at Reichert Ford business. Made a left-hand turn and truck got hit. So it was in the shop it was there Friday, the adjusters were there Friday to take care of that. I haven't got an update on it yet, so I'm expecting it this week.
But no one was hurt.
I was gonna say, it's the employee, okay.
Yeah, no one was hurt. Projects, our corner project, the force main is complete. BK Light was in, I think they cleared it right before Christmas. So that project is complete now. We will have actually a little bit of finishing touches to do, some grading and seeding, straw, things like that over there. And the east side drainage, I think I give everyone a handout. Hopefully you all got it. It's from V3. I received this late, I want to say it was late today. I really didn't get a whole lot of chance to read through it, but it kind of gives you an update on where they stand with that project. What they have so far, what their plans are, and I know that they want to be meeting with me sometime this week yet to go over what the next moves are with the village and the surrounding people that's all involved with us.
I'm gonna say, is this out 256 and Holder Road?
Oh,
that whole-
yep, the whole east side drainage issue that we have. So that's kind of an update to that. Looks, I would have given it to you on Friday. I didn't have it on Friday. It's got today. And I believe that is all I have, unless there's questions.
On the big water break, I guess I figured there was gonna be a boil alert on that. What's the rule on that? We lost
We
pressure
can-
completely.
We cannot go below 20 PSI in our system. Anywhere in our system. That did not happen.
We had no water days.
You may not have had water, but in the system, we still had that, we maintained that 20.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta think, we got a pipe this big and it's trying to get something down that big that is, we just can't, but we did maintain 20.
Yeah, I didn't know how much the village lost pressure, but we lost all of it.
Yeah, we lost some pressure, but it did not go below the threshold the EPA standards set.
Okay. So out at the wastewater plant, are you guys still adding bugs every once in a while?
Yeah, the chemical bugs are still being added.
In that mix, wasn't there a strain that was tolerant to cold?
They're supposed to be, but I mean, when you get that snap, that is just,
Yeah.
when you're sitting there and like I said before, we all experience it, 45 degrees, and we walk up the next morning, you get that blast, it just,
It's the cold break on your ear.
yeah.
That, at the last meeting, Brandy had asked about a tour plans.
Mhm.
And of course, anybody can go anytime. Sean is the only one here, probably remember Terry, for a while, we did service meetings occasionally. We tried to do them at the plants here and there. It worked and didn't work because of tables and getting out there. But if you guys want to have a service meeting, a rotating service meeting, and the idea was along Brandy's line, so you can tour the plant, see how it works, be out there, and stuff like that. If you guys want to do a service meeting at the street barn, the water plant, the wastewater plant, you know, the old firehouse, anywhere, let us know, and we can do that. Part of the meeting can be the tour and the guys explaining everything that's going on, and then we can have a service meeting there.
Can we go in Zoom? I mean, not Zoom, but can you sort of have YouTube and all that?
That possibly,
Okay, the only reason I said it because, you know, we do everything on.
yeah, possibly. I mean, it might be a little
Pardon me, or something.
piecemeal together, but we can make it work.
But I don't care because I've been out to all of them.
Right.
I just took the day and went out there.
And that's the other thing is if you guys, I guess technically if 4 of you did it at the same time as a meeting, we'd have to.
I mean, I can just schedule it. Go.
Yeah, but so you guys,
Summertime field trip
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, no, that's,
Yeah,
this would not be
dry.
this time of
yeah,
year.
yeah, definitely a summer thing. But like I said, if you guys want to have a meeting out there, think about it, let us know. We can make that happen pretty easily as well. So. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to Brian.
Well, I continue to close 2022. You should all have received your W-2s in your envelopes tonight. Able to get that, so I'm just living away at the checklist to close the year, and we're getting closer by the day.
Brian. I have one. Are you getting OML
Yes,
updates?
yes,
Okay. I'm not getting them.
you're not?
Yeah. And with the lame duck session, I expected to get a couple of updates on some bills, and I didn't get OML updates.
I've been, okay, I've been, yeah, I got one last Friday. I get them on Fridays.
I'll check, but until I tell you, if you just get it, if you just forward it to me.
Okay, because I've been forwarded to Tim too.
Yeah, just forward it to me. I don't know when it stopped, but like I said, I was expecting to see one last week and it didn't come. So,
I know one was sent because I received it.
okay, yeah, just forward, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Moving on to, oh, sorry, almost skipped Jeff.
Okay, only one piece of legislation on the agenda, and on the agenda itself, it doesn't show that there's emergency language, but we amended that to include emergency language. Brian had a good point, and that is that that amendment should go into effect as of the 1st of this month, so that we don't have to duplicate anything with regard to the bill and software. So, and as a reminder, that just reduces the debt service charge. So, and is that correct?
Yeah,
And it
I
went
started
through
thinking,
Oh, okay.
I wanted the decrease to coincide with the water sewer rate increase. We've got enough carryover.
And ordinance 2022-28 is the ordinance creating the recreation facility users group. I'm assuming that's what council was referring to. That was effective as of October the 26th. That designated 7 participants of that organization. BYB, a representative from each of the following: BYBA, girls softball, youth soccer, youth football, swim team, Baltimore Festival, and the Village of Baltimore, with the village administrator or designee serving as chairperson of the group. And FYI, Tim, not to add to your job duties, but it does call for mandatory meetings in January and February of each year. I don't know if those groups are aware of that or not. My hunch is probably not. But the failure to attend the mandatory meetings could result in that organization not being permitted to use village recreational facilities. So
And
We'll
do
touch,
these-
we'll touch
I was
base,
gonna
we'll
say,
touch
yeah.
base tomorrow and we'll get something out.
Good idea.
I was gonna say, do these people even know about it?
that I don't know. So
Some, well, yes and no, those that had been actively participating in the old group and maintain contact with Terry and stuff, no. The newer ones, probably not so much.
So it would probably be a great idea to send letters, set a meeting and send letters out to all of those organizations.
Yeah, we'll get together tomorrow on the phone and get a letter drafted and out and email. That way they get it ASAP.
And that's all I have.
Committee reports, finance.
Okay, Mayor, we had a meeting tonight. We went over the December financial. At every department, you're way below the 100% expenses, so we should end up like last year and really a good carryover in every department. And I want to thank Brian for keeping up and doing a good job. So that's about it. We did have an ordinance coming tonight about lowering the debt, $4 and $3. I can't remember which one's which right now, but it was $7 reduced. And that's an ordinance we're talking about tonight.
Do we have a sponsor?
Yeah, wait.
All right. Service.
Service hasn't met since the end of November. Our next scheduled meeting is December 23rd, 6 o'clock. January, sorry, January. Yeah, you're right. 2023 at that.
All right, safety.
Safety also did not meet this evening. We will meet on January 23rd after the service meeting.
And rules.
We did meet tonight, Mayor, and we had a lengthy discussion about the VA position. We're going to get more information next time, and our next meeting is February 13th after finance.
Police department.
Thanks, Mayor. We have all three of the new officers in training. One officer has assumed for a position as school resource officer at the elementary school. And so far that's going really well for us. We have the other two officers to be out probably within 4 weeks, somewhere along in there. We were able to locate, purchase 2 cars per the contract with the school system. We located those in Michigan, went out, brought those back, and they're one is in service completely.
Car 6.
Car 6.
I saw it today.
And car 5, the only thing we're waiting on that, we need a part that makes the radio match up with everything. And that should be in tomorrow, I think. Other than that, regular training, we've got it all scheduled for this year. We've got some guest speakers that are going to come in. We're going to invite some other agencies to come in for that, to get that done. One's the new chief investigator for the coroner's office. He's an amazingly interesting person to hear speak. And when we get that, I'll put an invite out to guys who are certainly welcome to come down.
I hear he's a killer in his car.
Yeah, I'll tell him to tone down all that videos. I don't even know where to go after that. We identified, we're still trying to identify cars, replacement cars for the department. We located one. It's actually it's outside of Chicago, west of Chicago, 6 hours from here. It's a 2020 with less than 14,000 miles on it. And they made us say, the price they asked and what we paid for two things, they offered it to us for $21,900. That car new is almost 44,000. So that's a huge savings. And we're taking most of the things that we have currently on car 3, which is the old Crown Vic. Almost all of it's serviceable, and we're going to transfer it over to that car, so we won't have a lot of cost in putting it back out on the road. So the cars are getting really, really hard to find. The things we're starting to see now, all of them are 100,000 plus, because you can't buy them from Ford. And that's all I have at this point.
Any questions? Chief?
That price disparity just sounds like, what's the catch?
Well,
No
the,
engine.
Yeah, then there's that.
we got to push it from Illinois back.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I think we just did it at the right time. I'm on there every day looking, it popped up, I called them up, the guy said, we just literally got this car, we took it on a trade for a different car. A civilian had bought this thing in an auto auction. When you have fleets of cars, you may trade in 10, 15 at a time, and they go to an auction and you buy them cheap, but you've got to be somebody that can do that. So this guy ended up with a car. It's kind of funny because it's a full interceptor. He pulled out what's called the Giotto box in the middle, the big metal console, and he ordered a civilian hoity-toity console and put in the middle of it, which looks very odd. Decided that wasn't for him, the car wasn't for him, so he traded it into this group. And quite honestly, I don't think they know what to do with it. They just want it gone. So now the dealers that deal in these cars all the time, you would never have got it for that price. I mean, I think you would have probably been looking at 26-ish, 27, something like that.
Any other questions?
Somebody has to travel with it.
Yeah, we looked into having it shipped to us, but it was over $700. So it's, like I said, 6 hours up, an hour there, 6 back, so you got 13 hours in. We're already paying the 2 officers going up, one's a trainee, we're already paying them for 8 hours to work anyway. So they're gonna drive up other than the fuel. So we're probably gonna be able to go up and get the car and bring it back for turn $50 or something like that, which saves us a little bit more.
Anything else? No, go first.
Fire Board last met on December 15th. The budget was approved at that meeting. Next meeting is January 19th at 6:30.
Moving on, planning and zoning, we're scheduled to have a meeting this Thursday. You know, the commission members, to see if they want to meet. We haven't had a meeting for a while because we have things that we want to talk about, but we haven't had any applications due. So if they want to meet and resume our discussions, we will. If not, I know we will have a February meeting because we already have a variance application in. It just didn't come in time to get processed for the January meeting, so we'll definitely have a February meeting.
Those meetings are at 7, right?
Correct. Alright. Tree Commission has a meeting tomorrow night. Records Commission, no update. So I did ask the Tree Commission about the trees in front of Johnson Funeral Home too. That I stepped into a bee's hive because, yeah,
Those are beautiful.
yes.
I
Tree
don't,
Commission's working on.
what's that all about?
So they had asked to take those trees down last year.
Who did?
Funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Funeral. And Terry went to the tree commission, talked about it, and then we said, no, they're in the right of way, we're not taking down those trees. To be fair, they're the type of trees that are now outlawed in Ohio, but they were fully canopied, very nice trees. Said no. And then all of a sudden, one day we drove by and the tops were chopped off and the tree commission chairs had no idea until he drove by. So now the idea is, well, they took off the tops, let's just take the rest down and get something replaced in that area.
Yeah, there were truck drivers complaining about
Were there?
it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, hopefully hopefully it's planned to come down. If not, the tree commission's going to make sure the trunks come down and probably look at some of the trees that we get in the spring to plant, probably replacing right there, because that's a highly trafficked visible area.
Not sure how easy planting something back in the sidewalk holes is
Yeah.
gonna be.
I don't know either,
I
but
think we're talking new sidewalks.
I'll be right there. You might be
Are we
They
talking
filled the
about the
entire
one
hole.
that's past that also in front of the house? Isn't that a rather large tree?
that tree's still there, isn't it? I was just talking about the three right there.
Oh,
you know.
I thought that big guy needs to come down.
And he might, I don't know what's on the tree commission's chalk list.
Just
But it's
just a
I'm
thought.
not full of jokes tonight. All right, Records Commission, nothing, any motions? If not, we will move on to first reading. 2023-01, Northern 49, Chapter 24.07, debt service charge of the Baltimore codified ordinances and to provide for an adjustment in debt service income in emergency services contract.
Yes, this ordinance is going to reduce the debt service for both with the water or wastewater and water. Is that right?
The water debt
Water and
charge,
sewer.
sewer
Debt
debt charge.
Water debt surcharge, that's right. All right, I make a motion that we suspend the 3 reading rule.
I'll second it.
And roll call.
Cosgren,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Three readings suspended.
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2023-01.
I'll second it.
Discussion on 2023. Roll call.
Cosgren,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Kurt,
yes,
Amy,
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
2023-01 will be adopted. Brian, I know you're catching up on 2022, ordinance, but I'm gonna sign this. If you'll scan it tomorrow and email it to me, I'll post it to the web with a little news thing, because this is something that people will like to see.
Yeah, and I ran all the numbers and it's justifiable, and I'd like, thank you for passing it. That way I can get that to coincide with the 3% increase. So they're actually gonna see it.
A drop
A drop.
in the midst of an
It's
increase.
gonna go from $86 to $79 now.
Okay.
So it's in here. If you'll scan it, I'll get it posted and we'll put some good news up there. All right, that was it for first readings. No second readings, no third readings, no tabled ordinances. Does anybody have any old business? Hearing none, does anybody have any new business? Hearing none, there's no business. Last call. I haven't got an update on the score yet, so I don't know. They don't kick off until it's.
Oh, I know.
So you guys got plenty of time to get home and watch the Johnson.
Short time.
If not,
Cardinal Heights State should be.
yes, as Cardell Jones said, national championship game was played last week.
Yay, I'm glad Georgia won.
Oh,
Chuck, what's wrong with you?
No, I'm not a high state fan.
All right,
They're easy
So-
to dislike.
Yeah.
so before this meeting devolves into the speaker type conversations that occurred this past week, our next meeting is January 23rd at 7:30. Is there a motion to
Forward
adjourn?
makes a motion to adjourn.
3 seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous voice vote, we are adjourned at 8:13.
That was a healthy debate.
Don't leave, don't leave here.
Me?
Don't
What
leave
can
here.
I do? What do you think?
For a second.
Let's have a debate. I love
I
it.
don't know.
We get to wait a second.
I want
Not going anywhere.
you to know, I didn't spend one penny. Okay, okay. I'm just saying. I got gas.
Are we finished?
Yeah, I'm
We got
trying to
gas.
shut it
we got
down.
that, And we ate when we got back. I drove along, I'm like, "Can we stop and get something to eat?" I'm like, nope. When we get back to Ohio, we can eat.